was a stormy Monday morning at the Obasa mansion, and Chief Tunde Obasa, founder of Obasa Holdings, looked less like a billionaire and more like a man being held hostage by a toaster and two grumpy 7-year-olds. My life, he groaned, dodging smoke from the frying pan. In one hand he held a broken spatula, and in the other a bowl of lumpy oatmeal that looked like punishment from the gods. The kitchen, a crime scene. Bread was burnt beyond resurrection. Eggs bubbled aggressively like they were about to explode. Orange juice was dripping from the counter like tears. His expensive white shirt looked like it had survived a food fight with a mad chef. One sock on, the other stuck to the fridge. "Zina! Zuri! Breakfast is ready!" he shouted. Instead of a reply, he heard it. Stomp, stomp, stomp. The unmistakable thunder of his twins charging through the hallway like baby elephants in designer pajamas. "I told you I'm wearing yellow today," declared Zina, striking a pose like she was on a fashion runway. "No way, I already picked yellow. You wear purple," Zuri fired back, waving a purple t-shirt like it was a royal banner. "But purple makes me look like eggplant." "Exactly. Children of thunder," Chief Tunde muttered under his breath, placing their breakfast plates on the table. He tried to look proud. "Your favorite, oatmeal, toast, eggs, and Daddy's love." They took one bite, and the rebellion began. "Daddy, this tastes like concrete," Zina spat out. "Yes, Daddy. Did the salt fight the pepper inside your brain?" Zuri asked with innocent cruelty. Tunde dropped into his seat like a man who had just lost a wrestling match with time and toddlers. "I tried, okay? You two have fired 7 maids in 1 year. What do you want me to do? Hire a wizard?" Zina wiped her mouth like a queen at a banquet. "We want someone who understands us." "We are not just kids," Zuri added seriously. "We are Obasas." Tunde buried his face in his palms. "I should have just stayed in New York." Across town, in a tiny flat that always smelled of tears and fried yam. Amaka Obi sat on her bed, staring at the ceiling fan that barely turned. Her wrapper was loosely tied, and her soul even looser. She hadn't smiled in weeks. Every day she heard the same insult echoing through the walls of her husband's house. "Empty vessel, useless woman, infertile witch." Her mother-in-law, Mama Pascal, barked those insults like prayers. Her husband, Pascal, barely defended her anymore. She used to be a senior procurement officer at a logistics firm. She wore heels that echoed in boardrooms. Then came love. Then came marriage. Then came the resign and focus on building our family line. She obeyed. Now here she was, unwanted, unused, and unloved. Her phone buzzed. Linda, her old friend, was calling. "Amaka, are you still job hunting?" came Linda's voice, hesitant but hopeful. "My boss desperately needs a maid. The kids have chased everyone away. The pay is crazy." Amaka sat up like a soldier summoned for war. "Linda, even if the children are wary, I accept. I need fresh air." Linda chuckled but kept her tone serious. "They lost their mother at age 4. Since then, they've rejected every caregiver. 15 nannies in 2 years, Amaka. These kids? Fire and ice." "I'm ready," Amaka said firmly. As they spoke, a harsh voice shattered the moment. "Amaka, you still lying on that bed? Come wash my slippers, barren disgrace." It was Mama Pascal. Amaka didn't reply. She ended the call quietly, tied her wrapper like armor, and stepped out. Later that week, Tunde rubbed his temple as the new maid walked in. She looked worn. Her eyes carried something heavy, but she also had a quiet strength that intrigued him. "This is Amaka," Linda introduced. Amaka curtsied. "Good morning, sir." Before Tunde could reply, the twins ran in, looked her up and down, and rolled their eyes. "She looks too normal," Zina said. She looks like she can't cook, Zuri added. Tunde gave her an apologetic smile. If you survive one day, I'll double your pay. Amaka turned to the children, crouched to their level, and said quietly, I'm not here to replace anyone, just to help you smile again. The twins stared. They were used to bribes, begging, or threats. This was new. That evening, the house didn't erupt into fire. It melted. Days later, the twins sat silently at the table, eyeing their plates. They took a bite, then another. Zena looked up. Is this egusi? Zuri chewed and nodded. But like, good egusi. Did you cook this? They asked Amaka. She smiled, with love, and ground crayfish. From behind the door, Tunde watched the scene with awe. They ate, they smiled. No one screamed. It was the first peaceful dinner in years. Tunde stood at the balcony that night, watching Amaka wash dishes while the twins danced behind her to a silly tune on TV. She wasn't glamorous, she wasn't loud, she wasn't temporary. Chief Tunde Obasa leaned against the balcony railing long after the twins had gone to bed. He listened to the silence. Not the heavy silence of grief, but the gentle hush of peace. Inside the kitchen, Amaka wiped down the counters with the rhythm of someone who had cleaned away more than dust. She was wiping years of chaos off every surface. He cleared his throat. Miss Amaka. She turned, surprised. Sir? Dinner was miraculous. You got them to eat, laugh, and even do homework. He chuckled. Zena didn't even scream about her pencil being ugly. Amaka smiled faintly. They're not bad children, sir. They're just bruised. That word hit him harder than expected. Bruised. Yes. His girls had been bruised by a mother they could barely remember, and a father who tried to replace pain with money. He looked at Amaka closely. How do you know what bruised feels like? She froze for a beat, then said softly, Because I carry my own. Tunde respected her silence. He nodded once, then left her to finish the dishes. The twins began to change. A week passed, then 2, then 3. Each morning, Amaka braided the twins' hair, while telling them stories from her village in Enugu. Each evening she taught them to sing old folk songs, songs even their late mother never sang. They started saying, please, and thank you. They started sleeping without leaving every light on. They started smiling in their sleep. Zena brought Amaka a drawing one morning. This is you. You're a superhero with an apron. Zuri added, We told our teacher you're our auntie now. Amaka's heart caught in her throat. She gently pulled them close. You two are the brightest part of my sky. They giggled. Ew, that's so mushy. One Thursday evening, while Amaka was ironing school uniforms, she heard voices outside the mansion gate. Loud, angry voices. Open this gate. My wife is hiding inside. It was Pascal, her estranged husband. Mama Pascal was with him, waving a small Bible and shouting, Come out, Jezebel. You will return to your marriage today. Amaka froze. Her body went rigid. Her fingers dropped the iron. The gate security tried to calm them, but Pascal was already trying to climb over. That's when Tunde appeared at the front steps. She was healing. And for the first time, Chief Tunde Obasa dared to hope again. Chief Tunde asked, Is there a problem? He asked, calm but firm. Pascal glared. That's my wife. I came to take her back. She ran away like a thief. Amaka stepped out slowly, lips trembling. I'm not your prisoner, Pascal. You and your mother broke me every day. She belongs to me, Pascal shouted. Not anymore, Tunde said sharply. Not in this house, and not in this life. Mama Pascal tried to rush forward. Who do you think you are? I am the man who respects her silence, Tunde said coolly. unlike the one who only raised his voice. That silence returned, thick and charged. The gate was shut. Security ushered them away. Amaka collapsed into a chair, shaking. Tunde knelt beside her. "You're safe here, for as long as you want." From that night, something shifted between Amaka and Chief Tunde. It wasn't spoken, it wasn't planned, but the glances became longer. The silences became softer. One night she found a small music box left on her pillow. Inside was a note. "Thank you for returning joy to this house. T." She didn't know when she started humming to herself again, or why her steps felt lighter. And Tunde? He began waiting in the living room just to hear her laugh with the girls. The mansion was no longer a palace of grief. It had become a home of healing. But not everyone was happy. Unknown to them, Tunde's estranged in-laws, the wealthy Makanjuola family, had been watching quietly. Zina and Zuri were their late daughter's only heirs, and now that the girls were happy again, now that Amaka had stepped in as a mother figure, they began plotting to reclaim the children and the family fortune. It began with an envelope, delivered by courier, stamped with the golden seal of the Makanjuolas. Chief Tunde's brow furrowed as he opened it. Inside was a crisp letter, polite but sharp as a knife. "As blood relatives of the late Mrs. Dara Obasa, we hereby seek immediate visitation rights to her twin daughters. Their well-being is of paramount importance to us." He crumpled the paper. He knew what this was. A legal gateway, one that could end in custody court. Amaka's past exposed. That evening, Tunde sat across from Amaka in the garden. The twins were inside, baking muffins. He passed her the letter. "We may have a fight ahead." Amaka read it slowly. Her hands trembled. But what shook her more wasn't the letter. It was what she'd have to confess. "There's something you need to know before they dig into my life," she whispered. Tunde's expression shifted, calm but listening. Amaka stared ahead. "I was married at 19. My father gave me away like livestock. Pascal beat me the first night. It didn't stop for years." Tunde's fist tightened. "I ran back home once. My mother said, 'Marriage is suffering. Return to your husband.' So I did. Until one night I lost the baby." She stopped. Tunde leaned forward. "You were pregnant." She nodded. "A boy, 6 months along. He didn't survive the last beating." The air felt heavy, raw. "I have no education beyond secondary school, no family that wants me. If they dig, they'll find a broken woman with no wealth or title." She braced herself, but Tunde didn't flinch. "You think I care about what they find," he said quietly. "Let them dig. I see who you are now, and so do my daughters." The Makanjuolas strike. The very next week, the Makanjuolas arrived, not in secret, but in 4 SUVs like royalty returning for their treasure. Madame Florence Makanjuola stepped out in her white lace and gold glasses, her lawyer by her side, her voice crisp. "We are here for a scheduled visit." Tunde stood at the entrance. "The girls are not dolls to be inspected." "We are their maternal blood," she retorted. "And you? You're the man whose neglect made them sick with grief." Tunde's temper almost rose, but Amaka appeared just then, holding the girl's hands. The moment was electric. Florence's eyes narrowed. "Who is this girl?" Zina answered. "She's our new mummy." Florence gasped. "Excuse me?" Zuri grinned. "We chose her." Oh, Legal warfare ensues. Days later, the court summons arrived. The Makanjuolas had filed for joint custody, accusing Tunde of emotional negligence and of bringing an unfit nanny to replace their daughter. Their evidence: Amaka's lack of a university degree, her scandalous past, her estranged marriage, no verified nanny certifications. Amaka stared at the court notice in tears. "Maybe I should leave," she whispered, "so the girls won't lose their father." Tunde stepped forward. "Leave and they'll lose both of us. We fight together, or we lose everything." A public revelation. Court day came. The courtroom was packed with reporters. Florence brought family photos, testimonies from private tutors, even school letters quoting the girls' behavioral issues. Then came Amaka's turn. She stood, no lawyer, no title, just her. She read a letter the girls had secretly written. "Dear Judge, our real mummy died, but Amaka taught us how to laugh again. She smells like safety and sings when she makes us food. Please don't take her away. We choose her. She is our sunshine." The courtroom went silent. Florence's lawyer whispered frantically, but the judge stared long and hard. "Sometimes blood is not the strongest tie," she murmured. "Sometimes love is." After the storm, the judge ruled in Tunde's favor. The Makanjuolas were granted limited supervised visitation, nothing more. Outside the court, Florence passed Amaka and hissed, "This isn't over." But Amaka smiled softly. "I think it is. For the first time, I'm not afraid." As they drove home, the girls hugged Amaka tight in the back seat. Zena whispered, "Can we call you Mummy now?" "Like forever." Tears slipped down her cheeks. She nodded. "Yes, my loves, forever." It had been 3 months since the court case ended. The house felt different now. Lighter, warmer, whole. Zena and Zuri, once withdrawn and grief-stricken, now filled the halls with singing, pranks, and endless stories. They called Amaka Mummy, with no hesitation. And Chief Tunde? He'd begun to smile again. Laugh, even. But something deeper was blooming inside him. The first dance. It was Zuri's birthday. She wanted something simple. "Just dancing and suya in the garden," she said. So they decorated with lanterns and balloons. Neighbors came. Tunde, in a crisp white buba, looked at Amaka in her sky-blue Ankara dress. The twins clapped. "Dance, Daddy! Dance with Mummy!" He hesitated. But when Amaka reached out her hand, his heart betrayed him. He took it. They danced beneath the stars, her head lightly resting on his shoulder. A moment that felt stolen from fate. "You make this house feel like home again," he whispered. She looked up at him. "You've made me believe I deserve more." Their eyes locked, and then a kiss. It was slow, hesitant, but undeniably real. The return of Pascal. The next morning, a stranger stood outside the mansion gate. Tall, slim, with cold eyes and a crooked grin. He handed the gateman an envelope. To Amaka, from her husband. The name struck like thunder. Pascal Ume, the man she escaped years ago. She opened the letter with trembling fingers. "I see you've become the mother of rich men's children, but you are still my wife. I want what I'm owed. You know what will happen if you don't obey." Attached, a marriage certificate, still valid, a threat, carefully veiled, and a bank accounting number, demanding 10 million naira. Amaka almost hid it. Almost. But the new her, the strong her, couldn't live in fear anymore. She sat Tunde down that evening and told him everything. The beatings, the dead baby, the escape through the night, the hidden scars, and now, the return. He sat in silence for a long time. Then he stood. "Let me handle this." Amaka grabbed his arm. "Please, don't start a war. That's what Pascal wants." Tunde looked into her eyes. "I won't start one, but I will end it." Just as they began to prepare for legal annulment and security protection, tragedy struck. Zena, The quiet twin, the one who held her sister's hand during nightmares, fainted during school's rehearsal. She'd been tired, lethargic. Amaka thought it was stress. But at the hospital, the doctor looked grave. She has a heart murmur, one that's been developing since infancy. The stress and grief may have worsened it. Tunde's hands shook. What does she need? A surgery, urgently, and a donor match for transfusion support. Amaka wept in the hallway, holding Zuri close. Zena, in her hospital bed, whispered, "Mummy, am I dying like my first mummy?" Amaka kissed her forehead, tears falling. "No, baby. You're going to live. I won't let you go." But Pascal struck again. He somehow got access to Amaka's number. 10 million naira. Or I go to the press with everything. You, me, the child you lost, the photos. I'll make Tunde regret ever trusting you. That same night, Tunde found her in the guest room, sobbing. She'd begun packing. "I can't let you risk your reputation or Zena's surgery," she cried. "Let me just disappear. Pay him if you have to. I'll survive." Tunde dropped to his knees and said the one thing that shattered her. "Don't leave me. I love you." Amaka froze. He continued, "I don't care what they find, what he says. I love you, and I want us to be a family. You, me, the girls. I want to marry you." She gasped, but before she could answer, Zuri ran in. "Mummy, Zena's in pain." They rushed back to the hospital. Zena's oxygen levels were crashing, her heartbeat erratic. Nurses scrambled. The surgeon was prepping for an emergency operation. And then, Amaka said quietly, "Test me. My blood, my tissue. Test me for compatibility." The doctor hesitated. "Are you family?" "I'm their mother." Hours passed. Then, the doctor returned with wide eyes. "You're a near-perfect match." She ran to Zena's room, kissed her forehead, then let them take her into surgery. Tunde stood at the window, watching his daughter, and the woman who gave up everything to save her. Where life hangs by a thread, a dark past unravels, and a shocking truth emerges that changes everything. Zena was in surgery for 7 hours. 7 hours of pacing, praying, crying, silence. Tunde sat in the hospital chapel. His hands were clenched, his mind raced. Amaka was still unconscious from her transfusion and tissue donation. And Zuri? She refused to leave her sister's bedside. She hummed songs gently, just like Amaka used to. "You're not allowed to leave me, Zena. We still have to marry the same man like in our jokes, remember?" Finally, the lead surgeon came out. His coat was stained, his face pale from exhaustion. "She's alive," he said simply, but then paused. "There's something else." He turned to Tunde. "When we ran the donor compatibility tests on the woman you listed as guardian, we found a 98.7% genetic match. Not just tissue compatibility, but actual hereditary markers." Tunde frowned. "What are you saying?" "She's not just a donor. She's the biological mother." 15 years earlier, a young girl, barely 18, lay in a private hospital room. Her face was bruised, her arms trembled. Pascal stood over her. "You'll sign it. You'll say you lost the baby, and you'll never speak of it again." "I want to hold her," she whispered. He slapped the clipboard in front of her. "You'll never see her again." In that moment, Amaka believed her daughter had died. She was forced out of the hospital, sent away. What she didn't know? Pascal had sold the child's birth certificate to a desperate man and his barren wife in exchange for 3 million naira. What he didn't expect? The wife had twins and raised both as her own. Amaka opened her eyes slowly in the recovery room. Tunde was beside her, his eyes red, his voice cracked. "Why didn't you tell me they were yours?" She blinked. "I didn't know." He handed her the report. She read the DNA breakdown, then saw it. Mother, Amaka Adayeze Ume. Children, Zina and Zuri, identical twins. She dropped the paper, her soul shattered. All this time, all these years. The girls she had been nanny to, protector of, mother to, were her own. Zuri had crept in. She had heard everything. She stepped forward slowly, clutching her teddy bear. "Mummy, you're really our mummy?" Amaka turned to her, tears pouring. "I didn't know, baby, I didn't know. But yes, I'm your real mummy." Zuri didn't speak. She simply climbed onto the bed and curled into her arms. "I knew it," she whispered. "You hug like her, you smell like her, you love like her." That night a message came. From a private number. A video. Pascal sitting in a hotel room, smiling darkly. "I know the girls are yours, and I know you've told Tunde, but you still belong to me, and I'm done playing." He panned the camera. Beside him, Barrister Kenneth sat nervously. Tunde's cousin, trusted family. Pascal spoke again. "If you don't bring the girls to me in 48 hours, I will expose everything. Tunde's business secrets, Amaka's past, even the truth about their adoption records." Kenneth added, "I've already spoken to a tabloid. They'll ruin him." Then Pascal ended the video with chilling words. "I took your child once, I can do it again." Tunde called a crisis meeting at the house. Barrister Ada, a sharp, no-nonsense female lawyer, arrived to help. "We need to file for immediate restraining orders, annul the fake marriage certificate, and dig into Pascal's past," she said. "But there's more," Tunde added. He opened a file from his late wife's old drawer. Inside, the original adoption records. Name of biological mother. Unknown. Hospital ID. Saint. Grace Memorial. March 2010. And in the hospital notes, mother was unconscious during birth. No guardian signed the release. The handwriting in the margin? Pascal Ume. He had forged the entire file. Amaka stood outside the girls' bedroom door that night. She watched them sleep, Zina with a nasal tube and Zuri curled beside her. Tunde came behind her. "You okay?" she nodded. "Pascal won't stop unless I disappear again." "You're not going anywhere." "I need to face him, alone, on my terms." Tunde grabbed her arm. "If you walk into that hotel alone—" She kissed him, then whispered, "This time I walk in as a mother, not a victim." Amaka stepped into the luxury hotel suite like a shadow reborn. She wore a simple black blouse, no makeup, and her natural hair pulled back. Not as a trophy wife, not as a broken girl, but as Zina and Zuri's mother. Pascal stood by the window, sipping wine, a silk robe, fake gold rings, always playing king in a castle built on rot. "Well, well," he said, "look who finally decided to come alone." Amaka didn't flinch. "I came to end it." What Pascal didn't know, her handbag held a micro camera, transmitting everything to Barrister Ada's laptop, where Tunde, Zuri, and 2 anti-trafficking officers watched live from a hidden location in the hotel. Amaka sat calmly. "You lied to me, you stole my babies, and now you're threatening me again." He shrugged. "You gave me no choice. You should have stayed broken." Then he leaned forward, voice cold. "You know what will really hurt? Telling those twins that their father isn't Tunde, that he was just the fool who raised another man's seed." Amaka blinked. "What did you say?" Pascal laughed. "Oh, you didn't know? You were drugged. You never saw his face." "But I know who it was. I arranged it. Rich old man from Calabar. Paid me for the setup. You were just a womb." Tunde clenched his jaw. Barrister Ada leaned forward. He's admitting to human trafficking, rape setup, child selling. We've got him. Zuri whispered, Mommy. Amaka stood slowly. Do you remember the night you took me to St. Grace Hospital? She asked. He smirked. You were crying like a stray dog. She smiled back, ice cold. Funny, because tonight you'll be the one crying. At that moment, the door burst open. Police, DSS, Barrister Ada, Tunde, and shockingly, Kenneth, holding a signed affidavit, and a recorder. Kenneth spoke first. I helped you cover the lie years ago. I forged the legal transfers, but after you sold out my cousin, threatened my niece and her sister, I'm done. He turned to Tunde. I'm sorry. I failed you once. Not again. Pascal reached for his phone, but they were already reading him his rights. You are under arrest for conspiracy, human trafficking, illegal adoption, and sexual exploitation. Back at the hospital, Zina opened her eyes. Amaka was beside her. So was Zuri. She weakly smiled. Hey, Mama. Amaka laughed through tears. You remember? I've always known, Zina whispered. Your heartbeat. It's the first sound I ever loved. Later that week, Barrister Ada found something else. A sealed document from St. Grace Hospital archives, buried under years of corruption. A name. Donor, Olumide Ayotunde. An art professor from Ibadan. Apparently, he'd been told Amaka died after the delivery, that the child was lost. He had moved to Canada, never knowing he had daughters weeks past. Pascal's court case began. Headlines screamed. High-profile adoption scam uncovered. Twins reunited with biological mother. Kenneth testified for the prosecution. Tunde's business, once in danger, surged in public support after he adopted Amaka's daughters officially and publicly declared, Family isn't made by secrets. It's made by choice, by truth, and by love. One night, Amaka sat with the twins, now healing, now whole. She gave them a box. Inside, 2 identical necklaces, silver with a small heart split in 2. One read, Zina. The other, Zuri. Amaka smiled. One day, when you tell your daughters your story, tell them you were once lost, but never unloved. The sun was setting like gold poured across the lagoon. Life had moved on, but not forgotten. Zina and Zuri had grown taller, stronger. Their eyes no longer held fear, only fire. And Amaka? She had shed her old skin like a phoenix. Now she ran her own NGO, Voices of the Forgotten, helping young mothers escape abuse and reclaim their children. But today wasn't about the past. Today they stood backstage at the African Talent Festival, preparing to sing for a global audience. Zina turned to Zuri. You ready? Zuri nodded. For Mommy, for Daddy, for all the girls who never got the chance. In the VIP section sat Professor Olumide Ayotunde, gray-haired, glasses fogged with tears. He had arrived from Toronto after the DNA results confirmed everything. He had missed 17 years, but he wouldn't miss today. Beside him sat Tunde, no longer just the man who raised them, but the man who had chosen to stay. Tunde looked at Olumide and whispered, You may be their blood, but you'll see, love raised them. Olumide nodded, and I thank you for every day you did. The lights dimmed. A hush fell. Zina and Zuri walked to the center of the stage in matching flowing dresses, white silk and Ankara sashes. Then, music. A slow piano. Zuri began, soft and piercing. We were voices in the wind, forgotten by the stars. But a mother called our names, and we remembered who we are. Then Zina joined. We were born of broken nights, but raised in borrowed light. And now the world will hear us, not as victims, but as fire. Their harmonies carried through the hall like prophecy. The hall erupted. Every judge stood. The audience wept. Professor Olumide covered his face, sobbing. Amaka clutched her heart. Tunde stood frozen, tears in his eyes. The host rushed up. That was beyond music. That was truth. He turned to the girls. What inspired this song? Zuri took the mic. Our mother, Amaka. She fought the world for us, Zena added, and every man who stood up to protect what wasn't his by blood, but by choice, like Tunde. Like our real father watching us now. She turned to Olumide. Yes, we know. He nodded. Backstage, the moment finally came. Amaka brought the girls to Olumide. He didn't speak. He simply knelt, arms open. Zena and Zuri ran into them, one on each side. I'm sorry, he whispered. You're here, Zuri replied. That's all that matters. Amaka stood watching, tears streaming. Tunde came beside her. They have 2 fathers now, she said, and 1 mother, Tunde smiled, who can't be replaced. Weeks later, Tunde brought Amaka to the park where he had first taken the twins to play. Under the ancient baobab tree, he knelt. No crowd, no cameras, just the sunset and a ring. Amaka, we've been through everything that could break a person. But you taught me that love is a choice, so today I choose you, again. As a father, as a partner, as a man who wants to stand beside your strength. Amaka blinked away tears. I thought I'd never trust love again. He held her hand. You don't need to trust love. Just trust me. She nodded. Yes. At their wedding, Zena and Zuri performed one last song. It wasn't for the crowd. It was for themselves. For the baby girls left in a hospital bed. For the mother who almost died. For the man who became their dad without needing proof. And for the stranger who gave them life and now wanted to earn their love. The final lyrics echoed through the garden. We are daughters of the storm, but we learn to dance in the rain. Now we rise, not in silence, but in song,